You hear him? Surprise, surprise. We have a new animal in this house. I'm recording tonight in the basement as I keep a little watchful eye on the baby, if you can hear him. There he is. We are welcoming our new kitten, Turbo, to the family. Good morning, my friends. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of Silly Girl, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. It's me. Animals are so mindful. I remind clients every day as a marriage and family therapist that, and even a yoga instructor, being human is hard. As humans, we have big feelings. As humans, we worry, we doubt, we fear, we get conflicted. We have some pretty big feelings, and in the mental health world, we're broadening our vocabulary, but sometimes there's still these basics that a lot of people are forgetting, and I wanted to jump into it because I love asking you guys, what do you want to hear? You know, my silly thoughts, my silly ideas, but as a therapist, I always even learn. As a yoga instructor, I always learn from the people that I treat. It's observing how we move, observing how we act, observing how things affect us, both outside and inside of our control. We always come back again to the basics. Inside of our control are these feelings. What do you feel? Some of you have seen that emotion wheel if you've seen me on TikTok. Are you following my Instagram? Mindful Body with Yoga. Mindful Body with Rachel B. Oh my goodness, I am exhausted. The heat's getting to me finally, but the emotion wheel is such a useful tool because it breaks it down to both the good and the bad feelings. I have a love and hate relationship with self-help books. They are so conflicting. They're like, oh, be happy, let go of that anger, just release. And we use those terms in yoga. I've used it myself. Let go of what doesn't serve you, let go of what's just festering inside, let go of a worry, let go of a thought. But we speak in these terms as a way of taking a pause to slow down. Because when feelings get so big, you feel, I love using that metaphor of like the emotion tornado, emotion hurricane. I'm already going to reference it. I had it in my notes to mention, but Inside Out 2, you've seen that clip of anxiety, that storm it creates inside of us. From anxious thoughts to our head to physical feelings of an upset stomach. It varies. I think what's so easy about emotions is that you're naturally going to feel them. I love when people approach therapy with this line of, Rachel, I want to control my feelings. I need to have a better control of my feelings. Control. Bitch. I can barely control the car myself. If we really looked at Inside Out, which is based on what I do, marriage and family therapy, this type of style of IFS, breaking the emotions into pieces, into parts, I mean, I compare it to driving a car. Majority of the time, anxiety is my passenger. I'm very open about that with my clients. Normalize the fact that feelings are feelings. Normalize the fact that we are all trying to find balance with our feelings. Don't have to, again, be mindful of disclosure, be mindful of boundaries from a professional standpoint. But my anxiety is my own. Anxiety totally affects my tummy. If I had the stomach for it, LOL, I'd be a gastrologist. Turbo, don't go behind the couch. I'm watching you. If I had the stomach, I'd be a gastrologist. It's so wild how emotions will show up as physical symptoms. So going back to the 3 parts, everything comes back together, my friends, full circle as we're coming to the soon finale of this season. Physical, emotional, mental. When your emotions come out as physical symptoms, I had the worst eczema for a year. Now it's gone. What? I looked into different dermatologists. I looked into so many different creams, rituals, remedies. Where'd it go? Where did my eczema go? Also, look at the regulation tools I've gained. Look at how my environment's changed. Look at how my perspective has changed. Taking care of that emotional and mental side of myself, finally healing that physical symptom. We talk about IBS and how it's connected to emotions. We talk about, oh my gosh, sweating is such a symptom. Blushing is a symptom. These are your heart racing. These are all physical symptoms related to big feelings. When I talk about feelings and breaking it down into parts and recognizing that anxiety for me is sitting in that passenger seat, what sits in that driver? When I'm reflecting that question with so many clients, well, what do you feel? I feel tired. I feel this. I feel that. All right, I hear the complaints. I get it. Validate, give you space. We're humans being humans, but dive deeper. What do you feel? And we're coming back to these foundational parts, this psychoeducation side of mental health and therapy. What are the feelings? What are these words that we're using to describe ourselves when we're describing what's the experience, what we see, what is happening inside of our bodies? And those feelings develop and grow from just being so small. We all saw that first Inside Out movie. Happy, sad, fear, jealousy, anger, or is she disgust? I'm already mixing it up. I think it's disgust. Now I'm remembering the broccoli. I remember just being in preschool. You saw the smiley faces, the sad faces, the crying face, the angry face, the scared face. You saw it again in elementary school when it came to health class and as you got older. We're even developing more feelings as we interact with everybody. And some feelings can be really great. We highlight that positive feeling. We're excited to see people. We're happy that you're here. I look forward to. I embrace. We love. That's amazing. And then we have the negative feelings. How people make us angry, how we get disgusted, disappointed, anxious. How people can make you feel two feelings at the same time, both positive and negative. That also happens within our bodies. Anxiety and excitement. I literally tell my boyfriend I have the same physical symptoms for both. My tummy hurts. When I'm anxious, my tummy hurts. When I'm excited, my stomach hurts. But the difference is the thoughts in my head. Anxious thoughts, I'm worried, I'm going through a checklist of what the hell's going on in my body, why I don't feel good. When I'm excited, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. Really think about, because I love having this reflective question as a clinician. I work with teenagers, I work with young adults, I work with 20-year-olds, I work with older adults, I work with couples, I work with families, I work with seniors, I'll work with anybody. A girl wants to get paid. But I also want to learn. I did the same thing with yoga. How am I learning from the people around me? How are we observing the people around us? How are we interacting with the people around us? How are we going home and reflecting? How did this make me feel? What did I like? What did I not like? What do I have control of? What do I need to let go of? What do I have to accept? Lately, working with so many teenagers, I've been reflecting back to even just my teenage phase. Where did these big feelings come from? How did these big feelings stay? What impacted these big feelings? What took them away? Like, you know I'm getting serious when I start rhyming. Shit. I started this idea for the topic with keeping room for jealousy because as a therapist, I love reading books about love. I love reading books about sex and sex education. That's been a big passion about mine because as much as we talk about the basics behind it and how babies are made, No one talks about the emotions behind building attachments, romantic ones, and taking the sex out of it, but just how you build families. You need sex to make it, but there's still emotions attached to the relationship you have with your children, the relationship you have with your grandchildren, the relationship you have with your cousins, how the family expands, how it contracts, how it changes. And something I love to read when coming to attachment and that theory are books about polyamory. It's such a taboo, especially in American culture, but they highlight all the basics about communication, about acknowledging the emotions, good and bad, about the pros and cons. And yes, it's towards the intention of building sexual relationships or emotional adult relationships. But again, we have a romantic relationship maybe with one partner, maybe with multiple as we get older. We still date. People still have partners, and we be breaking up. We come together, we divorce, we find new. You do you. That's your life. But you're not considering the relationships that still exist with you that aren't as romantic or sexual. The relationship you have with your friends, the relationship you have with your community, with your coworkers. And that ranges from acquaintances to friends to from what's the term I use with my teeny beans? In school friends versus outside school friends, sport friends. I got people who have their town friends to their summer friends, you know? I get it. We got friends for different seasons. We got friends for different reasons. We have different relationships. What are the emotions involved in those relationships? All good? Even balance of good and bad? Remember, my favorite line in family work is, we didn't choose these people. You don't have to like them, but we love them. And love, in my perspective, my silly thought, is a balanced feeling. Because I love my grandmother, I do. But I know she and I piss each other off. We love each other, but she and I piss each other off, sometimes just for fun. Highlighting that today, those negative feelings, my famous yoga line, how do you feel comfortable in these uncomfortable feelings? And starting with that one that, again, inspired today's topic, jealousy. I'm reading this book on polyamory called Ethical Slut. It's amazing. I'm almost done with it. It's taken me a bit because my season to read is summer. I was on the beach this morning just reading away, and it highlighted jealousy because it's so important and it's so prominent, especially when you're building multi-relationships. That's what amazes me so much about the idea of polyamory, that people are able to do this. And it's not this idea of we're not allowed to, it's what's holding you back. But we're also in a day and age where Megan Thee Stallion fan, okay? But even she's singing about like going behind people's back, and I'm so tired of this theme. I'm so tired of pop culture normalizing affairs. That's not healthy. That's not cute. That's so high school to me. All right? This is young and dumb mentality. The cheating, the behind the back, the oh, I'm doing shit. I don't care. I I care. I care. You should care. Like we're missing shame. we're even disregarding feelings that, I don't know, bring value to things that I know you guys want. Again, you do you. Maybe I'm making an assumption. I'm my bad of making an ass out of you and me, but like so many people come up to me, I want love. I've done the same thing. I've had that mentality where it's just like, all right, whatever. I'm so disappointed that I don't even expect it. I've let go of this expectation that I could be happy in love. And then it just brought me into my own mess, like all of us get into, and you're allowed to. You have to learn. But like, don't ignore those negative feelings. Don't rush away from them. You gotta feel them. Referring back to Inside Out 2, I love that it highlighted anxiety being this like welcoming, and I want to be included, and I want to be here, and I'm thinking ahead, and I'm looking out for myself to keep myself safe. Valid. Anxiety keeps you safe. Silly thought, we are silly humans. We over exaggerate our anxiety and we are protecting ourselves from things that probably aren't here. I say it because I do it myself. I say it because I do it myself. I don't know who I was talking to lately, but I'm sure I mentioned it with a client. Just the metaphor of, how scary movies can just put up a black screen and your imagination creates the ending. My sister reviews horror movies with one of her best friends, and I'm like the biggest little sissy there is when it comes to horror movies. I'm gaining strength owning a weird ass cat, okay, because he makes weird faces at me, and now I'm growing immune, haha, conquering my own fear. But my sister even said one of the scariest movies she watched, it was just minimal viewing. There was minimal scenes. A lot of it was just dark screens or pop-ups, and your mind was creating the horror. We go back to the original It movie. Your mind can play tricks on you when you don't know what's out there. When you're reaching in the dark and you cannot see, you create. When I think of my own anxiety, I talk about it like it's my best friend. I'm bouncing around already. Avoiding the conversation of jealousy. Now, um, I'm so amazed about jealousy because I grew up in New Jersey. This is like jealous central, and jealousy is such a prominent feeling as a teenager, especially when you're building romantic relationships, because we're in that phase of comparison. What do I look like? How do I, attract this person? What's influencing me to attract new people? What's going on in pop culture? What's happening with your peers? What are we trying to present to the public? It's so wild talking to kids. I'm 29, so 10 years younger than me, if not 15 years younger than me, and our differences in perspective of social media. Like, they'll talk about Instagram as if they're marketing themselves. I have to put on a look, I have to be a certain theme, I have this type of expectation, and I approach social media as my diary. I post what I want because it's what I like. I'm not deleting posts on my personal page just because, oh my god, I only got 5 likes. Oh my god, everyone hated it, bitch. I'm gonna post pictures of my dog if I want to post pictures of my cat. If I want to post pictures of my garden, it's gonna happen. This isn't my business. It's just me. My business account's different perspective. It's posting at certain times, posting certain content, or just not posting at all because I'm freaking exhausted and I'm trying my best. But as a high school me, being jealous was messy. It was cheating. It was going behind people's back. It was playing with people's feelings because your feelings got played with. It was spiteful. It was spiteful. It was jealousy. It was anger. It was rage. It was teenage love. Because this is your first time feeling those feelings of jealousy, of insecurity, of shame, of passion, of, come on, think with me. Reflect on those big feelings. Think about your first love. This is one of my favorite conversations with young adults. When we start dating, that first love. Some people are very excited, some people play nonchalant, some people don't care. Some people aren't happy. When you think about your first relationship, how did you feel on that first date? Who did you go with? A group? Just you two? Do you remember what you wore? How did you feel going home? Who did you talk to after? How did you feel? How did you feel when you lost that love? For whatever reason. Maybe it was a short 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 2 decades. What are the feelings that were going on in between? There's so many. Some people are amazed that I met my boyfriend just not even 2 years ago. And the first few months were just easy. We were just getting along, things were so nice, and then it just got hard because there were adjustments and changes and things in our control and outside of our control. Things that I had to change within myself, things that I had to recognize, my own feelings that I avoided. Because as much as those feelings can be so great and you want to run into them, happy, excitement, love, it's so easy to avoid the ones that don't make us feel good. Jealousy, insecurity, fear, anger. I always consider anger as a protective feeling. It's like a buffer. Because those vulnerable feelings of shame and jealousy and insecurity, it's so easy to hide. Or you think you're hiding it. That's what I want to say. Silly thought. Because they come out. We are emotional beings. And maybe I love to relate it back to like telenovelas. Because that's what I grew up on. My grandmother always played telenovelas in the background. There was always dramas going on. My mom always watched Days of Our Lives and all that crap. It was the dun dun dun, the big emotions and big feelings and the drama. And that's probably why I feel my feelings so big. I mean, I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. At this point, it's an ongoing joke. My body cannot handle what's happening inside, and I'm just so fully hydrated that tears are coming out. Like, my mom felt big feelings. That's what I observed. My grandmother felt big feelings. That's what I observed. Some of us observed this, and it became our norm. For others, it became so overwhelming that we avoid. Because we just can't handle it. It brings out just a sense of overwhelm, of fear. We can't catch our breath, and sometimes it feels like it's suffocating. I get it. So how are we making room for these feelings? How are we trying our best to feel comfortable in these uncomfortable feelings? And we talk about emotional regulation. What does that mean, Rachel? Silly thought. We can talk about breath work. We can talk about the somatic nervous system. Calming down the body, regulating, relieving those physical symptoms. A foundation breath work we use in yoga is just belly breath. When we're babies, we're breathing into our belly. We're carrying that oxygen to the lower parts of ourselves, nourishing the whole body. And over time, that breath starts to grow into our chest, expanding in the heart, expanding in the rib cage. But when you're anxious, that heart rate increases. And you start to take quicker, shorter breaths. And all that hair is getting pushed up into your head, and you feel lightheaded, and everything's spinning, and you're going to pass the hell out. Things are moving too quick. And you're not slowing down. American culture is rush, 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 go, 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 move, move, move. But you move too quick, you get hurt. You move too fast, accidents happen. Mistakes are made. I cannot tell you the random bruises I am finding right now on my elbows and knees, and I'm just like, what the hell did I bump into on my way out of the house? What did I drop? Who fell? What doorknob did I hit? Jesus. I'm moving too quick. Even when I'm coming into teaching or as a clinician, and even on this podcast, I can catch myself whether I'm getting too passionate into a thought or even anxious trying to express a sentence. It's that take a pause, Rach. Take a second. Slow yourself down. What do you feel? What do you need to do? Regulation sometimes for me is taking an ice pack and bringing it onto my chest. I'm calming my body down because a lot of the times my anxious physical symptom is that heat. You feel hot. That hot feels like nausea. You're sweating. It's uncomfortable. So bringing an ice pack onto my chest just cools my body down. Later on, going into obviously my master's program and even trainings for using yoga into my therapy work, we're talking about your somatic nervous system. And it works almost like a lizard. If you put reptiles in a cold space, their body cools down, calms down, they go to sleep. You're doing almost the same with your somatic nervous system. As I bring an ice pack onto my chest, I'm calming my body down. We'll talk about breathing into your belly as a yoga instructor, slowing ourselves by carrying that breath out from our heads back into our belly, back into the lower parts of ourselves, but you're using conscious thought. Inhaling through the nose, filling the belly. Exhale through the nose or mouth, sinking the belly. From breath work to an ice pack, there's even just taking a second and removing yourself from the space. Working with teenagers and young adults, we talk about being at home. We've all been there. We had our cute little home. We're a tight-knit family. And when things get so overwhelming and we're just too many cooks in the kitchen, we're all just not in a good mood. Everyone's energy is bouncing off each other. Take a walk. Sit outside. Go to the bathroom. I get it. It's hard to find privacy for everybody. Parents, young adults, children. Sometimes we can't feel our feelings alone. But you have to try your best. We have to start building just that simple boundary of, hey, it's okay to be upset. So many parents want to problem solve. We're going from that young adult of developing those big feelings, trying to understand it, executing it, feeling those feelings without understanding, and parents trying to come in with that, let me help you, let me help you, let me help you, and I get it. What are parents to do? Even I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm not a parent yet. But I go home with that reflective question, well, what did my mom do? What was useful? What was not? But also gaining that perspective even for myself. If I was in my mom's shoes, how was I probably feeling? Where is that slice of compassion? Where is that sense of sympathy? Gaining towards empathy. Because it probably was stressful. It's hard to see your babies cry. It's hard to see your kids cry. It's hard to see your teenagers cry. It's hard to see your adult children cry. It's hard to see them upset. There's like just a drive of I have to problem solve, and when you can't, you feel helpless and people panic. I think of the metaphor of treading water. If you're flailing your arms and your legs and you're not slowing yourself down, you're going to drown. That's how I feel about feelings. When you can't solve the problem and you have to sit with it and you don't want to sit with it and you're panicking, you're going to feel overwhelming and you're probably going to drown. You're probably going to freeze. You're probably going to avoid. Breath work slows us down. Ice packs slow us down. Taking a walk, taking a peaceful second, taking a moment slows us down. That's the first step. Second step, what do I feel? Going back to that emotion wheel. Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling anxious, fearful? And it branches off in different types of adjectives. And that branches off in different types of adjectives, building that vocabulary. Go back to my episode on boundaries. Go back to it. I know that I can't talk about certain topics because it's going to trigger certain emotions in people that I don't want to deal with, question mark. I know it's going to hinder our relationship, or I'm just nervous to see where it would go. I don't want to play, with that fire. Pick and choose those battles, my friend. We are in an interesting climate culture, interesting pop culture. It's a weird time. And emotions are being felt. I see the anger, that protective feeling, but dive deeper. When we think of jealousy, I think of that comparison. We all feel it. Jealous of what people have, jealous of what we cannot have, jealous of what people do to us. I see the jealousy and power within our control between teenagers and adults. I see it with finances. I see it with just family rule versus, I tell the kids, there's outside rules when you're learning morals and values, and then there's family rules. Expectations, boundaries, and responsibilities. And when those bring out the bad feelings that you cannot solve, back to that conversation between kids and parents, you cannot solve those feelings. You gotta sit with them. I'm sorry that you're feeling jealous. Explore it with them. What's making you feel jealous? How can we validate that? I can understand why that makes you feel jealous. That's it. That's it. When it comes to solving a feeling, sometimes it's just time. And that sucks. As I count down the days of when I can apply to go take this test again. How am I feeling comfortable with this feeling? I'm sitting here jealous of watching people proceed in their own careers. And it's not that I'm angry or I wish them harm or bad luck, because I want it too. I want to progress within my own career. I want to progress within myself. But I have to wait. I need time. So as I sit with my own jealousy, sometimes my silly coping skill is just less screen time. Out of sight, out of mind. And again, it's not to say I don't wish the best for other people. I hop onto social media to post what I need to post, to scroll when I need to scroll, but a lot of times I'm just trying to be mindful of what I'm doing for myself, be grateful for what I have, for what I can achieve, and where I want to go within my control. Sitting with jealousy, sometimes it's just the ability for some people to go out and you can't. FOMO. You're allowed to be jealous. But then what are you planning or taking initiative to planning to include others into your plan? And if they don't want to include you and you're not getting answers from them, make some new friends. Go in a different direction in your control. Jealousy within relationships, there's space for it. Where do I see it? Jealousy of what our partners achieve, jealousy of what our partners can have, jealousy of what we want them to do. And they're just not. Even as I sit here, I'm trying to think of what I'm jealous of in my own boyfriend. Sometimes I'm jealous of just how his boundaries are a little bit more respected than mine. And I think I'm even biased because I came from Italian, Hispanic culture where a man can say something once and everyone hears him once. And women, we just talk over each other, so we have to say it like 17 times. So when he says, no, I don't want to go, and everyone's like, oh, that's fine. And I say, I don't want to go. Everyone's like, what do you mean you don't want to go? I'm a little jealous. Why am I being questioned? But it is what it is. We have different dynamics. If jealousy is in your relationship in a playful way, people like to incorporate it, again, in adult relationships. You do you. If jealousy is used, I don't know, in a motivating way, question mark, even as I sit here, again, reflecting, trying to be in the present moment with you. Some people are motivated. If they have it, I want it, I'm going to work hard to get it. Okay. Motivate yourself in your perspective without it being harmful, without it being obsessive, within boundaries. But if jealousy is growing into something that's spiteful, that's combative, that's conflict, that's creating stress, it's taking up too much space, my friends, and it might be time to let go. Another negative feeling I wrote about was shame. I keep having a stressful time with the teenage demographic. Jesus Christ. Friggin' Frank from Shameless. The trashiest show. I love that so much. And here I am going to quote Instagram for a second, or at least social media, because we've lost this sense of shame. I don't even know. I try to sit back here and reflect. I'm like, where the hell did we go wrong with this idea of like losing shame? This, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to be me, I don't care. That's like borderline just cockiness. And some people just look dumb, and I'm over it. Like, some people need to be told, you look silly and you look dumb. Like, I don't know what you're trying to portray, I don't know what you're trying to go for, but chasing likes and chasing followings and getting to that teeter-tottering of doing so much just to get attention is just okay. And as I giggle and say we need shame to come back, it's just to look in the mirror and say, hey, you need to take a step back and check in with yourself, because something's not right and you're doing too much. Trying my best to come from that concerned place, trying my best to try to word it in a way that gets through the young demographic, because that's stubbornness, man. I remember it. It's biting me in the butt. Reflect on that too, for my young adults who, when you were back in that 10 to, we'll say 16 range, that's stubbornness, that's protective, that, anger, stubborn, hard wall of just, nope, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on inside me. I can't let you know because I do not know. And that's so normal. Shame, embarrassment. Sometimes I think it goes hand in hand, silly thought. When I think of shame, sometimes I just relate it back to gender, because it was just something I experienced. We're growing up in our style, we're growing up in our look. Again, we have pop culture. Again, it's summertime, we're showing skin. And there's a severe heat wave going on. But I remember wearing shorts. I'm all legs and all arms. I am like a newborn giraffe, long-limbed and clumsy as hell. So every pair of shorts felt like tiny shorts. And we're growing up in the 2000s and everyone has weird diet culture. Of course my mom's making a comment. Oh, those are too short. You really gonna wear that? No. Just too mature for you. Not okay. No. And you just become self-conscious. Not indirect. The intention is there. My mom doesn't want me to look like a streetwalker. Great. Awesome. Thanks, Mom. Looking out for me, girl. But, like, delivery is shit. I say it all the time. We're trying our best. We're learning our words. I'm the firstborn trial baby. Get it? She was too. So you have this sense of shame that holds you back. Shame and anxiety, hand in hand. Shame and embarrassment. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I look like that. I would get so red in the face all the time. There was a point I would get so red in the face it would travel down my neck, and I would just be embarrassed about anything. God forbid my grandmother was with me and like young boys would walk by, she'd be like, "Oh my God, Rachel, look at those boys are so cute." This bitch is 5'3", and I swear to God, you'd hear her a mile away. She would embarrass me so much around boys, and I would be so anxious to talk to boys. But that's a story for another podcast. What did it mean for you to feel shame? How did shame influence just boundary setting, even for just conscious awareness that, should I be doing this? Is this okay? Is this right? Am I going to be okay with this later? How did you sit with embarrassment? I would freeze. My face would turn all red, but some people react. That yelling, that anger, that protective feeling, jumping forward. Did embarrassment make you cry? I've had that happen to me. I would go so scared that I would just cry. Fear. Another feeling I wrote down was rage. And again, tying into that anger, that protective feeling. It's so prominent in the therapy world, and it's so prominent for young men because we've pushed you guys into this like, oh, men are so angry or you're happy. And I'm like, they're human, and humans have a bunch of different feelings, and we need to broaden that vocabulary, please. Why our culture limits this idea for men and mental health, I don't get it. We are in 2024. Let's do this. Feel anger and rage in productive spaces. I was saying it right. Confidence in my words. What does that mean? Sometimes it's in music. I'm a little metalhead. We loved Warped Tour. We love mosh pits. That's great. Productive space within rules, within boundaries. We're not here to let loose and be a freaking savage. Some of you young adults need to understand, in the music world, this is not you being a freaking crazy, tweaking person. Even in mosh pit, there are boundaries and rules. If there's someone on the ground, everyone stops. That person is on their feet. Everyone is on their feet. There are boundaries within these spaces for your safety. Because again, they're normalizing creating space for anger, for feelings, for sad, heartbreak, jealous. I'm just thinking even songs in my head. Don't lose this space of art, acknowledging those emotions, seeing how they move inside of you, allowing yourself to feel it in a productive space. You go back to sports. I love when people tell me they're in jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu to me is also meditation. You have to regulate your breath as you're moving through a tussle. I don't know what you'd call it. A tussle. And if you're not, even with wrestling, if you're not regulating your breath work, regulating your tempo in sports, you can get caught up in your head and it can become unsafe. Lately, rage for me has just been letting out a scream in a productive space. I'm not screaming in front of my animals. I'm not trying to trigger anyone's anxiety. I'm not trying to create, looking at your feelings like energy. I'm not trying to exert just electric fence energy. Like, to me, my energy is buzzing when I'm rageful. It's just a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotion, a lot of spinning. I'm just a bundle of fear, low-key. I told you, my anxiety sits in the passenger seat. So my rage sometimes is just me taking a pause because I'm buzzing too much. I'm going from one room to the next room, trying to get everything ready, trying to take care of this one and that one, and running to this, and answering that phone call, and answering that email, but also sending a text, but trying to pack up my bag. It's, Rachel, you're doing too much. You're overwhelming yourself to the point of anger because you're irritated with the dogs breathing, with your cat running around, with the fact that your alarm's going off on your phone, that you're running late for work, and your bag is not packed, and you left the fridge door open because, right back to the beginning, when you're moving too quick, accidents happen. Foundation. So I take that pause, that mindful moment, and I did this with a client this week. scrunching up my face, scrunching up my fists, pulling my shoulders up to my ears, tightening up my whole body, taking that big breath in, letting it all go. Releasing the hands, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the face. And sometimes when I'm at the peak of my rage, I will just let out. I feel like this is a nostalgia for so many of us who didn't have enough privacy in our houses, whatever reason why. You just lived in small quarters. That quiet scream, that like, I do that because I just need it out. But I'm not doing this in front of my animals because they don't need this type of negative energy near them. They're doing their own thing. They're in their mindful moment. They are just thirsty, looking for food, or trying to go outside. Probably looking for me. I'm doing this in the privacy of my room, the privacy of my bathroom, privacy even my backyard. Just get it out of my body. Get the energy out, get the feeling out, acknowledge it, feel it in productive space, express it, hear it, see it, put a name to it best you can. Release it. And when I'm releasing that type of anger, I'm sitting with, okay, what is the first thing I need to do to reach my goal? And half the time, it's just to get the hell out of that house because I got to get to work. First step. Get the dogs outside so they can go to the bathroom. Next step. Get Chubby into my office because he is not allowed to roam my house just yet. He does not have that privilege. Next step. Finish packing up my bag. Next step. Get the girls inside. Get everyone comfortable before I leave. Next step, I love to walk around my house. This is something that I've seen my mom do. It's what I do, that checklist. Make sure everything is off, make sure everything is unplugged, do a little head count of all my animals, make sure everyone's safe. Next step, doors are locked as I get outside, and it continues. Step by step. It's just one of my silly coping skills. It's one of my ways of just tailoring mindfulness to my perspective. When I'm in those rageful moments, I've even advocated for clients, and this can relate to psychodrama. Talk it out. I talk to myself all the time. If I can't have a conversation with somebody and I need to have a conversation because it's just in my head and I'm obsessing over this thought and it needs to get out of my body, I'll talk it out. I'm alone in my house. I'm alone in my bathroom. I'm alone in my head. I'm alone in my car. Talk it out. Have a good cry. Have a good scream. Have a good feeling. Have a reflective moment. Feel the feelings. Don't run from your feelings because they're still going to be there. You're just adding more on that you have to process. Don't use substance to trigger feelings. I hate when people do this. I'm getting so tired of this crap. Go back to my Dare podcast episode because boundaries with your substance. You shouldn't be using substance to trigger emotions, to process emotions. Like, I get it. It can trigger something in you. You can meditate. You can have a moment. But it should be a helpful tool, not the priority. Because people are forgetting that if you push these boundaries too far, and if you lose control of your feelings, you will be unsafe. There are boundaries to substance and using it. Please be safe when you're processing those big feelings. You have to feel feelings in boundaries, within productive spaces. Break down and cry in safe spaces with safe people. Because if you're feeling these big feelings for the first time and you don't understand them and you don't know what you need initially and you're reaching out for anybody and anybody, that's risky business, my friend. Who do I want to cry to? Half the time I want to cry in my own space and I want to cry with other people because my feelings, I acknowledge, are just really big. And I don't know if it's just over time that I've become this very sensitive person to my environment, that other people are just sensitive because that's just what I grew up with. Feel a big feeling, but I can't handle other people's feelings at the same time. Some people get overwhelmed and they just mirror it back to you. It's very typical for humans. When someone is angry, we get angry back, defensiveness. When someone is sad, another person gets anxious. I don't know what to do. It happens. Not everybody's going to be there for you. No one is responsible for you. And it's not to be this dark kind of person, but people choose to show up for each other. People choose to put effort. People choose to have relationships. People choose to be emotionally invested. My partner is my safe person. But even I know there are some feelings that I have that are so big that he cannot handle, and that is okay. I know that he has big feelings that I can handle, and that is okay. We are people with our own limitations, our own boundaries, our own needs, our own abilities. We are two people who have our own spaces to regulate our own emotions, and then after we discover and reflect on what do we feel, what do we need, maybe it's extending that branch to one another as like, hey, I could use some help. Whatever that looks like. My boyfriend took me out for Italian ice this weekend just because I was a little bummed. Some plans didn't work out and I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. And he's like, you feel sad? Let's go for a little treat. That's so nice of him. He didn't have to. He wanted to. He can't fix the feeling. He's not solving the feeling. He's just making it comfortable. I'm sad, but at least I got a sweet treat. Balance. A silly way of just feeling that feeling in a comfortable space. Feeling that feeling and being comfortable with it. Feeling that feeling and processing it. I know I bounced around a lot. I'm both passionate, both exhausted, both extremely tired because I'm a silly girl who keeps, taming the garden over here. Welcome to Rachel's farm. Between new animals and new projects, I just built my stackable garden in this heat wave. While I'm being safe, you need to be safe, listeners. Stay hydrated. Stay sunscreened. Stay rested. But we're one more episode until the end of our season, and this has been an amazing project, and I won't even say thank yous just yet because we're not done, but I'm so excited to grow in this, and I'm so excited to build on these silly little topics. Please share your feedback, send some questions. I'm listening. I want to build on what we've already talked about. I want to see what new things we can dive into. What are some of those silly little thoughts that are happening in your silly little head? On that note, this is episode 14 of Silly Girls, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. That's me. I'm wishing you all a great Wednesday, rest of the week, and weekend. I'll see you next time.